ourselves can turn things around. So that's my message for the day. And one of the ways of turning things around is using our human will. We have will, free will. We can get in touch with that and we can inch our way out of whatever situation we're in right now that we'd like to improve. JM, I wonder if anybody here is joining for the first time and like to say hey.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think somebody just popped in. She is joining for the first time, I'm sure. Manu has a sweet little daughter. Welcome. And hi from us. Anyone else here for the first time would like to say hi?
Yeah, I'm joining for the first time.
Rakesh, thanks for joining. Let's see what that skyline is behind you there. Is that San Francisco? No, that's not the Salesforce building.
It's
Chicago?
Indianapolis.
Indianapolis. I see. I wouldn't have known that because I'm not familiar with the skyline there. Thanks for joining us. Are you actually in Indianapolis?
I am, but I was from the summer.
Well, great to have you. Thanks for joining.
Thank you so much, Bro.
Anybody else want to say hey?
Hey, this is Anurag. I mean, this is my first time on Zoom, but I have I have attended your in-person in Salesforce multiple times, so not really a first time.
Yeah, fantastic. Great to have you, Anurag, and my favorite name, Anurag. It comes in one of my favorite songs where it says Anurag to habe he. Great to have you.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to just say, how's the season treating you, Pratibha?
Hi.
You don't
Hi,
mind the
everyone.
darkness, or is it okay?
Hi, everyone. I'm from Portland. I'm not the new one here. I keep attending as much as possible. I try to attend every Fridays, but I'm very happy to be here. Yeah, thank you for all
I'm
your
happy to
guidance.
have you here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
How's it feel this time of year for you with it getting?
It's great. It's
Yeah?
great. It's great. I mean, as usual, Portland weather. It's not snowed yet, but it's gloomy. But we are all looking forward for the holidays to spend with the family. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the nice things. Even though weather can get gloomy around this time of year, we know everyone's going to be huddled somewhere together, and we have a little that to look forward to too.
Yeah.
Great, great. Nice to have you here from Portland.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to say hey? There's Manu. I just saw her last week. We were at Salesforce. We had a really nice program there that she organized. Manu, you're on mute.
I just thank you for joining us for that session. I think we all felt the same. I think I would like to just mention Anita, who's joining us quite regular, and Ariana, and Patrice. I don't know if you would like to say hi. He's been also joining us.
Thanks for inviting Manu.
Thanks for joining.
My name is Sunil Krishnan. I'm from Chicago. This is the first time I'm joining in, and I'm from Amazon. And special thanks to Aditi Sumani, who posted this in our affinity group. And I've been on the Sanadana Dharma journey for a long time, and I goes on highs and lows, and been into the Bhagavad Gita lifestyle. So happy to meet everyone, and thank you, Guruji, for organizing this.
Great to have you, Sunil. You're in Chicago now?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
How's the
Chicago.
weather out there?
It's a bit cold. We got snow, about 4 inch about 4 days ago, and we are kind of now recovering from it.
Yeah, I lived in Chicago for a couple of years. I miss it out there. I miss all the people. Please tell them I'm missing them out there.
Sure, I'll send you energy for sure. The windy city.
Thanks for joining in, Sunil.
Thank you for having me.
We also have Nina, who just posted. Today I am attending on Zoom. Otherwise, sometimes I listen to the show on YouTube. Hi all.
Yeah, great. It's nice. There's a few outlets, so anybody can join in a convenient time. Well, fantastic. Well, last week we discussed writing one's personal constitution. And are we broadcasting on Fan the Spark today on Facebook? Because I just got a text from Dan McCready, who's a regular
Let me
watcher,
double check
and he
it.
said, "Where are you guys?"
Yeah, I'm double checking.
And I'm going to be in big trouble from him if you don't put it up there.
Definitely.
Okay. Yeah, so the topic has been something that is very practical, and that is writing one's personal constitution. I was struck with wonder and it made me thoughtful when I visited the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., and I saw the original Magna Carta. And then near that is the Constitution of the United States, and then there are all the amendments on display. It's actually the original documents are there. And I was just thinking the power of the pen and paper. After all, those documents are written on paper with pen, only they had a quill on the end at that time. And just by deciding what one wants and writing it down, deciding what one's values are to be and what one's priorities are, and writing those down, it's a very human experience in that we're then immediately faced with some responsibility, but then an overwhelming sense of opportunity, if opportunity can feel overwhelming. And it's the way we can order our lives. Now, in the ancient wisdom literatures, for instance, the Bhagavad Gita and Yoga Sutras, the Greek philosophers like Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, etc., Epictetus, there's a understanding that we can improve ourselves. Now, if we can't, and we're fatalistic, which the Bhagavad Gita isn't, nor are the other philosophers, then there's no point in writing anything down or deciding what you want to do. But if we do have a modicum of free will, and we can identify that in ourselves by being introspective, and then making decisions of which kind of qualities we want to develop, these can be practiced. For instance, in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a section in the 17th chapter in which Krishna says that there are various ways to upgrade the mind, speech, and the body. And in the upgrades to the mind, he mentions satisfaction. There are several others in that section as well, but in the context of that mention of satisfaction, it's implicit that it's a practice. It's not something that comes or doesn't come by the change of the weather or change of circumstances. It's a determined practice. So in other words, if you say, I want to make a practice of satisfaction, what would you then do? Does anybody have any thoughts? For instance, if I say, I'm going to make it my main priority for the rest of the day to be satisfied, what would you engage in? How would you approach that idea? Phone lines are open. Our operators are standing by to take your calls. You can speak up, just unmute and say whatever you feel like saying. Ariana, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. I think the first thing that comes to mind is just kind of taking small actions that I know will make a difference in body, mind, and spirit. So, for example, if I want to like have a satisfied day, I know something I could do is move or exercise, taking care of my body, maybe get some sunshine, have some spiritual practice, and then maybe like read a book. So that way I'm kind of like touching on heart, mind, and body. but just small actions that add up every day can lead to like long-term satisfaction is like my first intuitive thought.
Fantastic. That's doable. That sounds enticing because it seems like, oh yeah, I could read a book. So you talked about small actions that make a difference in body, mind, and spirit, having some spiritual practice, reading a book, for instance. And this is what you're saying is your immediate feeling about how you could practice satisfaction, right?
Yeah, I just think that like kind of what you were saying earlier, like I don't think grandiose things always like result in grandiose like results. I think it's actually a culmination of small actions done consistently over time that lead through to satisfaction. The good
Thank
actions
you.
consistently done over time. Yeah.
I love it. Yes. Fantastic. Okay, let's get Rakesh. The practice of satisfaction. Let's just say you wrote it down and said, today I'm going to practice satisfaction. What are you going to do?
I think I would like to start with a plan, waking up early in the morning, and then have a plan for the day and try to accomplish that in the order of priorities. So having chanting and hearing, setting the tone right for the day, and then for my work, what are the activities I would like to do, and then spreading positivity in the people around me. Those are some things that come to my mind.
Excellent. So you talked about waking up with a plan, start the day, wake up early, start a spiritual practice, chanting, hearing, then have specific activities that you're going to interact in and work, and also spreading positivity. I like that one. I like all of them, but one of them that you mentioned, the idea of spreading positivity and allowing us to feel satisfied. It goes along with one of the principles of the Bhagavad Gita, which is that when you give, you grow. And when you think of how to serve others, how to spread positivity among others, it has the same effect on you. So that sounds very practical also. Okay, Manu.
I was just reflecting that if that was about to happen, I think I would be taking a lot of deep breaths and let go and not be a perfectionist. Like things around me sometimes can change and people might not match my expectations. So just let go and, be okay and have that practice that it is okay what's going on, especially with my, my daughter and my spouse. So let go and be satisfied with whatever it is going on during the day.
I like that. That's also a way to come into the present. A friend of mine likes to say, don't be so concerned with what should be, just be concerned with what is, what's already happening. And you talked about breathing, don't seek perfection, let go and be okay with what's going on. Wow. Well, it's amazing that we have various ideas ready-made on the tip of our tongues. When we talk about satisfaction as an example, it's one of the austerities of the mind. Oh, Anurag, go ahead, Ajayam.
Yeah, Anurag said, if I'm not mentally fatigued due to whatever and get something done, I feel satisfied.
That's another point too. Mental fatigue can come from being overloaded or lack of sleep, for instance, and that makes a difference too. Just as we heard earlier, was it Ariana who said stay in balance? Yeah, body, mind, and spirit. You got to keep your body together too.
And I just want to also add that it's helpful to know to keep the main thing, because your list of things to do is never going to finish. So at least knowing what is most critical to do. And second, as you said, try to execute what you can systematically but dispassionately, knowing that not everything is under your control, like separating what is under your control and what's outside also helpful to stay equipoised.
Okay. We got a lot of stuff here. Keep the main thing, be methodical but dispassionate, and keep asking, what's in my circle of influence? Great ideas. And point is, humans are smart. We have not AI, we've got real-time AI intelligence that comes to us practically free of charge. Takes a few calories. But the fact is, it's there, it's ready to go. So one of the points of writing one's constitution is decide ahead of time which way you want to go, what are the guiding principles of life, and what are your priorities. And I've been working on it, although I've written many of these documents and I was looking over all of them, consolidating them about priorities, about goals, about values, and so forth, and then putting them in some kind of order. I noticed there's always a way to adjust them as well. But one thing's for sure, whenever I get them in hand, which I have a little pile of, here's my constitution, I have a little pile of papers here in hand, then I feel as if my life is renewed because I have a clear direction. And I'm also guided by my decisions on paper, by being introspective, by looking into what's the most important aspect of my life. So let's look at a few thoughts, because last week, if I'm not incorrect, JM, we mentioned taking this up again today. We started with writing some priorities or values last week. And even if you weren't here, it doesn't matter. We're going to start from a beginning point. And it goes like this. First of all, priorities determine what comes first when things compete. So I don't know about all of you, but I noticed there are a lot of competing philosophies. There are a lot of competing activities, different kinds of attitudes. So when there's a confluence of all these things, we can feel overwhelmed. But if you've decided ahead of time what's most important in your life and you have it ordered, that's what priority means. What comes first, it technically means the one thing that's most important, the prime thing in your life. But it's come over time that we make several priorities and maybe there's a hierarchy. And that's how I recommend writing it, is write down the things that are most important to you and try to order them. What comes first, what comes second, what comes third. And then values, just giving definitions here, govern how I act regardless of the outcome of whatever activity I'm engaged in. As one of the cardinal principles of enlightened living is how we react to what happens to us. It's not what happens, it's what we do after it happens to us that defines our values. And so, as we were just defining satisfaction, we may engage and then something comes along that seems like an obstacle. Well, how do we react to it? How would we remain satisfied? So one of our values might be to be tolerant or to be in a state of equanimity. And so dealing with situations, governs how I react, regardless of what the outcome is. So if I say I'm going to be satisfied, then if something desirable or undesirable comes, then I'm accepting. Okay, and then the third one, goals, define the specific outcomes I commit to pursue within those constraints. So we have those guidelines of priorities, what's most important thing, first thing to do, second thing, and then values govern how I react regardless of outcome. Then there's lots of specific things that we can write down before the beginning of the year or any time of day. There are various types of goal setting, which I'm going to go into in just a little bit. So those are a few definitions. So let's first talk about priorities. And priorities, what and who is most important to you in your life? That's a place that you can start. And, we naturally respond to circumstances with tacit priorities that we have. So we did an experiment here a few sessions ago, or more than a few, when, for instance, if there is a fire, which things do you grab first? Generally, people go for those things that have life. You grab your pet, you grab your plants, and those things have a higher value. We naturally have a sense that whatever's living is most important. So this idea of priorities, but if we write it down, say this is what's most important to me, then it's clear in our head when we're making decisions. And a priority is what wins when our time, our energy, our attention is limited. If you ever found yourself running out of time and you have to decide between one thing and another, let's just say your priority is developing wealth, just as an example. If you have a pile of things to look at, if your priority on your list is to develop wealth, then you look at the things that would immediately contribute to that, because the law of compounded interest is so explosively effective that every second counts, right? So those are some definitions of priorities, values, goals. And we talked about priorities last week. Anybody who was here last week, wondering if you had any time to think about this or to write down anything? Manu did. Go ahead, Manu.
Yeah, I think I just spent some time going through again the the purpose and the priorities. And I think even though I spent some time, I felt like a little bit more. I need to come back and do this, but at least I felt like first set of my list looked okay.
Well, give us a taste, a little something.
So I was just listing down how determination, uh, patience and determination, two values that I need to work on, and then how I can bring this into my day-to-day life.
Okay.
And when I was measuring about priorities, I felt like even though I had a lot of things, but first thing that came is health. Or I had to bring that up because I had a few years, I have not been working on my health, and then I'm like, okay, I need to also bring that as a focus. So all these things with journaling and writing this list down helped me to also, look at
So let's say health was near the top or at the top. How would that change the way you would organize your day?
Yeah, so I used to skip a lot of meals in the morning, taking care of my family. So now I also sit down for the breakfast or the brunch. So that I'm just trying to see how I can push that in my schedule also.
Yeah, eating's always a good, good idea. Yeah, nice. Your behavior changes, right? Because you decided health, and then you could identify something that would contribute to that. Nina's there.
Hi, I just wanted to talk about the last week's class in getting in preparation mode, and that was such a beautiful class. I penned down every detail that I could. So started with great discoveries come to those who prepare their minds from Louis Pasteur, and we have to work on ourselves. So we talked about writing down and random scrolling versus reading a book, how it changes our, focus or concentration, or, random scrolling is not so productive than reading a book. To put your phone away for some time, lock it in a box or somewhere, and then focusing on the job, not just job over broke, but schedule time offs and, repair mode, cooking in the kitchen, and don't make ultimatums, practice equanimity. These are the things I really liked, and I have it in my notes here, ready for my reference. Be guidable, collect
Oh,
mentors.
thank you for the plethora of ideas there. How did writing them down make a difference to you? Did you, once you wrote them down and now you're identifying with them, has it made a difference? Like Manu mentioned, she changed one of her habits. How has it made a difference to you so far?
Through the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, I have come to an understanding that practicing equanimity is good, but practically, how do you want to do that? Is by understanding that you cannot be an enemy's enemy, and good examples that you give in your talks really helped me to implement these practices. So
Yeah.
whatever I was doing was great, by like kitchen work and everything. Sometimes I feel that, taking a break from doing what I was doing, in the, having that to-do list as do not do list helps also. So there is both ways of looking at it. So
Yeah, so from what I understand, you're saying in the context of our session we had last week about preparation, being in preparation mode, this developing a personal constitution is a kind of overarching preparation for our lives. So our minds are prepared. For instance, you mentioned equanimity as an important principle in the Bhagavad Gita. So inevitably, there are going to be situations that are trying in our lives and will be tested. If we've thought about it already and we've studied equanimity, what does it mean not to be overly concerned? In other words, here's a saying for equanimity that I adopted many years ago. I forget who gave this to me, but I kept it. It's things are never as good as they seem or as bad as they seem. So that there's a tendency of the mind to jump to peak levels and say, "Oh, this is the best thing that ever happened," or "This is the worst thing that ever happened." But then with the equanimity mantra, things are never as good as they seem or as bad as they seem. I tend to say in the middle.
yes,
And so, yeah.
See, the constitution, that is what we were talking about, right? So every soul, the Jivatma, is of a different constitution depending upon from where it started before the life that we have today. So we have these modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. They may be playing a big role in what we are constituted as, and how we progress from there. So that is a very significant point for me when constitution comes into picture.
Thank you very much, Nina. I really appreciate your thoughts.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else who had,
Yeah.
go ahead, JM.
So we also have Wolf, who said oxygen mask goes first on.
Yeah, say more about that. A metaphor about how you're on the plane and before you take off, it's part of the
Yeah,
regulations.
Wolf has come online.
Yeah, go ahead, Wolf.
So it's not that very difficult to prioritize. So the oxygen, self is a priority number one. Ability to breathe, to drink, the heartbeat, the vital, and that's a priority. Breathe, relax your muscles, relax your mind, meditate. It's plus in terms of prioritization, if 1949 would be considered ancient literature, we can call it, right?
Yes.
Abraham Maslow put a pyramid of human drivers, and on the very bottom is life itself, ability to continue life, and then it goes up and up and up and up. So we don't need to reinvent a bicycle. The ancient literature already provided that for us. So I scale every time I scale to those who were before us in terms to prioritize who is on first and what is on second. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. And as you were mentioning that, it can bring us into a state of gratitude also, because we may have developed many expectations about what it looks like to be successful. But if we're able to stay alive, that's very foundational. And if we're appreciating the fact that we are living and breathing and we take care of that, our ability to breathe and live, that can be very enlivening. Jam, you were going to say something else?
Anurag was thankful he just dropped off.
Yeah, I noticed. Bye, Anurag. We'll miss you. So, anybody else? Did anybody else take the time to write down their priorities or think about it and jot anything down? Yes, Vicky.
Thank you. Last week was really helpful. And I had a question, but for some context, first I wrote down my values, and one of those values was integrity. So then when I wrote down my priorities, my values helped shape my priorities. But I was wondering, what if when I write it down, I know that I'm mostly doing it out of trying to follow instructions and try to get myself going, but I don't actually maybe even trust myself that I'll really carry it out. What about that cognitive dissonance and sincerity?
Yeah, there's a poem from Robert Browning in which he said that our expectation should exceed our reach. Otherwise, what's a heaven for? I think that was part of his line. And there's an idea that these values that we look at, for instance, we saw lists of values the other day, and some of them may seem beyond our pay grade. But my point in the beginning was, if we examine them, if we study them, for instance, if we study integrity, what does it mean to be filled with integrity? And then we look into ways that, in very practical ways, small steps where we can have integrity, we can express integrity in our lives. And then it's in the analyzation, which is a kind of preparedness for us. So when we come to a juncture where we apply integrity, if we can get the smallest win, then we'll realize that, okay, I used my free will, I got a modicum of success, or even one tiny step forward, I made the right choice. That's a celebratory act. In other words, it is an act that can be celebrated. And it doesn't have to be big, it doesn't have to be grandiose, it can be small. But the fact that we're aware of it, that we made the choice that I want to have integrity even if I don't trust myself, but then when it comes down to it, then I'm aware of it, and then I do make the right choice. So it's a just example of diet. Manu brought up health. And there's a way in which, let's just say when we study healthy eating habits, it may take a little time to turn around the habits we have now, but once we're aware of what we want to do, there's a serendipity that comes into play and we get opportunities that we weren't expecting. That's why I like that statement by Louis Pasteur that great discoveries come only unto the prepared mind. If you don't prepare for integrity, then you're not going to recognize the choice when you have it, or it won't be as important to you because we get so ensconced in habits. Yeah, that word integrity, it's a kind of wholeness, soundness of moral principle and character. We stick to what we say we're going to do, and that's a practice. It's like if you don't trust somebody, maybe you don't know them enough. And after a long period of time of seeing that they show up for you, then you start developing this kind of trust. And we have to do that for ourselves also. That's beyond the embarrassment of always being dictated to by our senses and being pushed around by inferior forces. And this is one of the messages that Krishna gives in the Bhagavad Gita is to rise above these lower urges. And do it by your intelligence, he says. So that's what we're doing. We're really studying what integrity means, and then we're prepared for it. Anybody else? Yes, Manish.
Uh, First of all, I really like the definition that you give. It really resonated so much. Priority determined when there is a conflict. Value governs and goal defines. It's a very nice sutra I'm taking today. And the choice of the word is or verbs are very, very appropriate. And values I noted down. First, I noted down is empathy. Because I realized that certain situation when I got little more understanding by being involved in other people's life, I could see that my response would have been different if I would have not put myself in the same situation as other people going through. So this year I trying to be more. Next year I note then like empathy, like trying to understand other people's point of view. Second I wrote is gratitude. Increasing the gratitude for around me, people around me, the gift that I got. And third I wrote is being kind over right. This I think very easy to become right, but I think I finding that how kindness is above even being right. So, and in the priorities I wrote like family first and health. I think many people have told practice. And even priorities, I was thinking that how if we don't have the right priorities, it actually affects all the other things. Like if out of three, like how you told that priority determines when there is a conflict, what is the right thing to do. And if we don't do that, then what I found that suppose I had three priorities. So if I don't give the right priority to the first task, even though I want to have second and third, it will not go ahead because the first one has it has to be given higher priority. Otherwise it will. But if I give the first one high priority, then second and third will also be achieved. So it's very important to know whom to give the priority. Otherwise, it's bound to failure. Thank you so much for this exercise. It really helped me.
Yeah, you thought about it a lot, and it's really helpful to hear what what process everyone else is going through and thinking about this. Thank you very much. Great to hear from you. Let's go to a few more slides. The next one, number 5. Talk about priority and the definition. Priorities determine what comes first when things compete. So we can know for sure that things are going to compete. So we have a little algebraic statement here, practically. I have a priority let's just say one of my priorities is to finish my degree. And that's, I got to get that done first. And then you say, when my friends invite me to a party, it competes with my studies, I choose my studies. So then you've already got that written down, and you know that's going to come up. I remember people asking me, oh, why don't you come over and do this, do that? And I was like, I have to study because I have this done. That's a priority. And if it wasn't on the list, I could say, oh, well, I'll give in to this and I'll make it up later. Then you're going to find yourself underwater somewhere. So that's one of the ways to look at what a priority does for you, is when you have inevitable conundrums. When there's two things to choose from, the priority wins because you already put it at the top of your list. And the next one with values. A value is a principle that guides my behavior when making choices. So let's say you have a value of tolerance or truthfulness. So I act in truthfulness even when, and it's mentioned here, truthful even when it would be easier to mislead somebody, or tell a half-truth or embellish the truth. If you try giving the plain truth rather than trying to embellish it, and see what it feels like. Do it as a scientific experiment and say, instead of embellishing or telling a half-truth or not telling the truth at all, which may be the urge of the tongue, it's just, let me get out of this, so I'll tell a non-truth, otherwise known as a lie. Then how will I feel afterwards? But if I just tell the truth and see what happens. And why would I do that? It's because I already thought about it, and I accept truth as a value in my life. That's what guides me. I'm guided by that principle. Amazingly, in the Yoga Sutras, Patanjali Muni, who wrote them, talks about how those who are avowedly truthful develop a kind of mystic power. When you learn how to tell the truth, then your words become more potent. So that's a guiding point when you have values. And the next one is goals. So we're doing these three things: priorities, values, and goals. And the goals, I am working to achieve such and such by such and such time. You have to make them time-bound. And those can be very specific things. You'll see in the next slide a person sitting. I like this picture. He's introspecting. This is one of the ways it can look when you're writing goals. Decide what you want and write it down. Doesn't he look thoughtful? Yeah, and when we're thoughtful about what we want, it's energizing, because then we can point our mind in a certain direction. And the mind becomes morose when it doesn't have a clear direction, something to work on, and doesn't have the parameters to work on them, priorities and the values. So I want to talk about, especially this time of year when we're starting over the new year coming up soon, different kinds of goals. There's a few categories in the next slide. Number 10, there can be many, but a few that you can look at, and these are just examples, are health. What specific things could you write down and quantify under the category of health? Let's name 3. Sleep is a big thing. Means what?
Sleeping early and waking early.
Yeah. What if that becomes a goal? You can work on it. And name one other, 2 more priorities. Okay, exercise is another one. Peace of mind is another one. Stop eating junk is another one. Stress reduction. I like that one. Definitely. So those are all things that you can look at. Now, when you talk about sleep, it can be very specific. You can say, my wind down time is whatever you want to put, 8:30, 7:30, 9:30. I don't know what time everyone goes to bed, but decide at a certain time and say, I want to be asleep by such. I sleep by such and such a time. I wake up by such and such a time, and then you can make preparations to do that. One of the best ways I think to wake up is with light. Probably said this before, but I have an alarm clock made by Philips. It's an orb, and it starts to illuminate the room very subtly. It's like if I put my alarm on for 4:30 a.m. at 4, you see a little light starts coming into the room, but by the time 4:30 hits, then the room's bright because it's a very powerful orb and it lights up the whole room. And it's because of making this priority of waking up at a certain time. And so then you can think of ways to help yourself in reaching that goal. So we named a bunch in health. There's relationships. Let's say in the category of relationships, you want to make some goals. Name 3 things you would do in a relationships, specifics, so that you could, which goals you could reach. I have one, but I'm going to wait till you give yours. Vaibhav said compassion. Panda said more FaceTime. Vicky said gratitude. The one I put is to give full attention when I'm interacting with people. It's really practical. Just notice the tendency is to give half attention or quarter attention or a percentage of my attention. But it's a amazing shift when I decide ahead of time my goal. When I talk to Manish, is I'll give him full attention, eye to eye. I'm listening exactly what he's saying. I'm not listening to my inner voice saying, when he stops talking, I'm going to tell him something better. I'm listening carefully. I'm giving full attention. Try it with your spouse or your pet, and you'll notice that the relationship changes right away. That could be a goal. And what if you tried that? That's your prerogative. You can do that. Then we have spiritual growth. Some have mentioned about reading, chanting, and so forth. How many? When? By when will you finish? How often will you do it? I set up for myself a process so that I can measure how many pages I'm reading every day. And I do it very deliberately so that I can have this principle, have drops a day wear the stone away. So you can write that down. How many pages of a book will you read every day? 1, 5, 10, 40? It's up to you. And then we have these time frames. You can make many categories and decide within those what you want to do. But look at the time frames. You can have between a year goal. I have my yearly goals. 5th time I've shown this, but I like it. It's in the back of one of my notebooks. Don't take a screenshot. And in the back, whenever I want, I just open it, and then I have my GPS system because I know, oh, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. I already decided. My goals are there. And then the other kinds of goals I love are, let's say, have you ever made a 30-day goal? You could turn around a habit in 30 days if you apply yourself to it. Something small, but you do it every day for 30 days. Why not do it? We're human. We can do this stuff. And then think about a 1-day goal. For instance, let's say you're going to somebody's house and You say, what's the goal of going here? What do we want to do while we're there? It brings your attention to like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to interact in such a way that everyone feels encouraged. What if that was your goal? Or by the end of the day, I'm going to finish these specific things. It's one-day goals are very powerful. Okay,
Ariana,
Ariana has a question, JM. Let's hear what it is.
yeah, Ariana is asking, what does your constitution look like? Are you able to share your structure for us to fill in? Just curious.
Yes, I can. I'm going to share it with JM just after. Personally, I've been working on a template so that I can share it, and I have something, and but I don't have it like in a file that I can hand to JM. But I'll do that, and he can share it with all of you, because you're all on the mailing list, right? Does that sound okay, Ariana?
Yeah, she says, perfect. I would love a shareable template. Thank you.
Okay.
And Full said, easy to remember, GPS, guide, protect, and serve.
Panda wants to sign up for the...
Yeah, so I'll just put an email address. So you can just send an email to this, and then you'll be on the mailing list.
Okay. Now I'm coming down to the 1 minute goal. Have you ever set a 1 minute goal? Those are some of the best. And I'll show you what I use all day long here. The countdown timer. This countdown timer is mechanical. There's no screen, so I don't get distracted by anything. And this is my little friend. I have 2 of them. I carry one with me when I travel, and I keep one at home. And whenever I get caught in a maelstrom of different ideas, what should I do now? Or I can't move because I feel too overwhelmed, I'll set myself a 1 to 5 minute goal. And just say, for the next 5 minutes, be your best self and do the right things, and then one thing at a time. Or just get one thing done in 5 minutes. For instance, sometimes we may think like, okay, I'll do that later. But what if you could do it now? Let's say you have somebody calls you for lunch and says you have 5 minutes. You say, what amazing thing could I do in the next 5 minutes? And then set your timer and say, okay, 5 minutes, go. You got yourself a goal. So these 3 values, priorities, and goals, when you amalgamate them, work on them yourself. It's your inner work to decide what you want in your life, what's most important to you, and commit it to paper. And so let's just say you disappear and then somebody finds your paper and they say, oh, this is what the person valued the most. And this is what their values were. This is what their priorities were. And this is what the goals they're working for too. You should have that for yourself and readily available right on hand. I'll read you a couple of my priorities just to give you an example of some things that I wrote just in the last 24 hours in reviewing my stuff. 7 priorities. I remember that my time in my present body and others in theirs can end at any moment. I therefore give my attention and appreciation to others, considering that each interaction with them could be the last. I read high-minded works by important thinkers every day. My correspondence is quick, appropriate, up-to-date, compassionate, and helpful. My words are truthful, pleasing, beneficial, and non-offensive. My daily practices are strict, serious, and sincere. I seek the lesson in whatever happens to me. I give undivided attention. I give people my undivided attention when interacting with them. I stay focused on one task at a time. I cultivate humility. I cultivate gratitude. So that's just examples of ways you can define what's most important to you, and it becomes a guiding document. And if you combine that with the other 2 and I'll send a template where you can put together your articles that you call your constitution, and then you can put it on your wall and put it in bulletproof glass, just like the Constitution at the Library of Congress. Okay, we have a couple more minutes left for any last comments, any reflections, any takeaways, one thing you're taking away. You can only give 3 sentences. 3, 2, 1, go.
I would spend 1 minute for learning a new word, knowing about the word and trying to with the new words I learn into practice in writing.
Oh, that's very nice. I like that. I do that also. I have my book right here. It's my vocabulary book. I write down.
Vocabulary, yes.
Yes.
Any topic can be,
It's
expanded for its vocabulary. So
Yes.
vocabulary rich writings.
Fantastic.
Teachings. Thank you.
Okay, Radhakripa.
I'll take a day off to determine my goals.
Excellent. First start, your first goal. Take a day off so you can think of your goals. A couple more. What anybody thinking? Values, priorities, goals. Or any reflection about the process. Express yourselves.
I like this point, drop a day, where's the stone away? So I'm going to take this.
Yeah, it so helps to bring it down to the simple little things that make all the difference in the world. Okay, iPhone, you were there. iPhone dips.
Hi, this is my first class. Um, I really like how you explained everything, like you should commit to yourself, how you should make a goal, priorities, and values. I have one question, like for a long time, I'm trying to do something like I can't stop my mind wandering. Like if I'm trying, like I want to do something today, like maybe um I want to read a book. So while reading a book, my mind wanders and I can't stop doing it. Like after 5 minutes, I realize, oh, I was reading my book. Then I came back, but that for short period of time, I just can't focus and it's just bothering me that it's just like coming in between my goals.
Okay, that's a really practical thing. Now let's just say we handed you a violin. Do you play the violin?
No, I want to
Okay.
learn guitar, but yeah.
Let's make sure you don't play the violin. Say we've handed you a violin and we say play the violin. It's going to be hard to get any decent sound out of it until you practice and you get good guidance. So attention is something that can be developed because our brains have neuroplasticity. And it means that neurons that fire together wire together. And you'll notice this when you practice concentrating, like in study. It's so hard because the mind doesn't want to come to bay. It doesn't want to come to a point of focus. It just wants to do whatever it wants to do, just like a baby or a little pet. The mind's just like that. So you have to train it. So practice a little bit at a time, and you'll notice that you'll start to develop that skill of concentration. Nowadays, a lot of people are trained in randomness because the cell phone is ubiquitous, and now the subjects are getting shorter and shorter. And people's minds, their neurons wire that way. So in the Gita, Krishna talks about how you have to practice over and over again, and you will get better at it in 1 week if you practice reading with concentration and show up with a pen, mark the places that are important to you. And if you miss part of it, go back and do it again and listen to the paragraph again in your mind, and it'll get better. Well, we talked about a few things, the Constitution. Let's keep working on it. And I'll send the ideas for the template that JM can share with whomever wants them. And I wish you a very happy New Year. I have to take a retreat to India. This time of year, I take youth to India to go to these very sacred places to feel what it's like. And so I'll be back in a few weeks. raring to go, and I'll have my constitution with me. I hope you have yours. I look forward to sharing in the new year when
Which
we're all
which
back together again.
which places you're going in India?
Who's going on the retreat? Anybody who's here? Okay, we're going to go to many of the. We'll start in Bangalore, and from there, Bengaluru. Then we're going to go to Kurmakshetra. We're going to go to Sri Rangam. We'll be going to Tirupati. You know, all the big ones. Will I see you there?
No, I don't think so because I didn't plan ahead of time. And I was thinking if I could send my son along with it. Is there any age group or is it mainly adults or children or youth?
14 to 24.
Oh, okay. That would have been perfect for my son.
Next year.
Yeah, next year. Exactly.
Okay,
Is
Sunil.
mainly South India? Mainly South India, huh?
This year, South India. Other times we go to Puri, Vrindavan, Mayapur, and things like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, you know, I just thought of a way we can say goodbye and get ready for the new year. Our friends, the yogis high in the Himalayas, when they come out of their caves and they're on the high peaks and they see one another, they put their hands high in the air and they say, Hari Bol, keep the transcendental vibration going. I have the urge to say it because I'm going away on a little trip. Don't mind. Hari Bol.
Haribol.
Haribol.
Thanks, everybody.
Haribol. Haribol.
Write your
Thank you.
constitution. Don't worry if it's messy. Just write, and it'll all come together, and it'll be a very powerful document for you. Thank you so much, JM, for keeping the lights on. See you all soon.